My sister had her catalog from Urbana, where she was a student, and I looked through it and I found this major called occupational therapy. I knew I was going to University of Illinois because my parents didn't go to college. My grandparents didn't even go to high school. My grandmother was an immigrant from Germany as a teenager. And so I knew the expectation was clear from my parents from the day I was born, really, that I was going to college. And University of Illinois was a state school, meaning it didn't cost as much, and it had a great reputation. So we all knew, my brother, sister, and I, we were going there. And back then you applied in high school. And so I applied, and I was interviewed by Barbara Loomis in 1972. She was a brand new department head. That's when she took over. And my dad took me there. I interviewed with her, and apparently I did well enough because they admitted me. And so I went to Urbana, Champaign-Urbana, for 3 years. Things changed. Things don't always go according to plan. We have a lot of students now at UIC where things don't go according to plan. And so I actually dropped out of school. So the next year I was thinking of going back, and there were just lots of health and mental health related issues going on. They told me I could come back, but then I said, no, I can't, not right now. And then it happened again. And so I moved to Urbana to show them I was really serious this time, and it worked. So Barbara Loomis told me later that there were some faculty who felt I had had enough chances. But she and others advocated for me to get one more chance. So they gave me one more chance. And I loved my work. And I had a job starting an OT department at a community hospital in Southern Illinois. I got the phone rang in my department, and it was Gary Kielhoffner calling me. And by then, I knew him. I had heard him present. I was so impressed with him. And I was so glad to hear he was at UIC when I had heard that in 1986. And so this was 1988 now. And he said, oh, I have another job that I think is actually a better match for you. And you can have it. I don't even think you need to interview. And I said, no, I think I would like to talk to you more. So I went up there, and we sealed the deal. And then I started learning more about Gary's theory, the model of human occupation. I participated in developing an assessment for injured workers because he and Craig Veloso, the primary author, faculty member, they didn't know, they hadn't worked with injured workers, and I had. And so I was kind of the clinician part of it, but my name is still on that assessment. It's widely used around the world. As I became a faculty member, my lens kind of shifted, because then I was more interested in opening the door for others as had been open to me. And we developed what we named holistic admissions, because students learn more when they're with each other, learning from people different than them. To take one step back, with holistic admissions, you can't just admit people and you're done. You have to create a supportive, inclusive environment. So that allowed us then to sometimes take a risk on a student that we weren't sure academically if they perhaps were a little bit lower in some academic areas, but very strong on their family experiences with occupational therapy or with disability or health conditions. They were very strong on their service roles. We looked a lot at service roles. How have these students, potential students, been contributing to society? And they come here knowing UIC is a diverse campus. This is a research university. They're going to get an experience that's going to incorporate those things. So the name of the scholarship that I decided to initiate through my donation is the Gail Fisher UIC Occupational Therapy Scholarship. Got a kind of plain name. I, in my mind, designated it with preference to students with financial need, because really that's the purpose, but preference also for first-generation college students like me, and second preference for UIC undergrad like me. And so I felt like that was one way to pay it forward in a way. My goal was for students to feel like they've been seen, even though they have their struggles and they have their challenges, but I did too. I made it through with a lot of hard work and a lot of people supporting me. Students could read the story and feel like, oh, she did all this. She was like me. Her parents didn't go to college. Her grandparents didn't even go to high school. And yet she was able to not only be a faculty member, but she was able to figure out how to donate all this money for an endowed account. It's a lot of money. But the way I did it, I'd been planning it for years. It can't happen without a strong faculty group, can't happen without a strong department head leader, can't happen without supportive alumni. And we've been fortunate in getting other people some of whom I worked with more recently, to make a donation as well.